Trade union Nehawu says it won't allow its members at Home Affairs to be used as scapegoats. Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs is considering a ban on the use of cell phones by staff. The committee has received numerous complaints about delays at Home Affairs offices. A video was circulated recently showing two officials using their mobile phones while people waited in a queue. Nehawu Deputy General Secretary December Mavuso joins us now to discuss this. Before we can get to our discussion, Mr. Mavuso, I just want our viewers and you to listen to a soundbite from the Portfolio Committee chairperson. Here's what he had to say.
Based on what we have identified as distraction to service delivery, the cell phones that officials, especially at the front desk of the offices, that's where you deal with people who want their ID books, who have lost their documents, people who want birth certificates, death certificates, and all of that. And there is no focus. The management and the leadership that's supposed to be observing and guiding these officials there, they're nowhere to be found. Supervisors are supposed to have picked up the issue there. They're supposed to have made sure that those officials are not using their cell phones during working hours. Then we decide to say that enough is enough, because members of the public are calling Parliament. Say, Parliament, we go to this office, these are our experiences. And everyone that talks to us talks about bad experiences at Home Affairs, especially on the issue of services. Sometimes the issue that the systems are just down, right? Now, we are saying that enough is enough. The usage of cell phone must be banned in the front desk of the Home Affairs, the front line that deals with members of the public directly. They must ban them. Come up with a policy that will then guide that whole process. If they fail to do that, we don't have an option as Parliament, but we'll legislate it. That's the position that we want to take now.
You can't argue against that, can you?
Well, let me say that we're not supporting the users of cell phones, when people are supposed to rendering service in a way that impedes, service delivery and so on. But I think that the statement by the Portfolio Committee chair is rather unfortunate and very dangerous in our view. But also, I think he lacks information about what's happening in Home Affairs. He's supposed to be providing oversight over the department. Is supposed to know by now that.
No, before we get to what Parliament is supposed to do, are you defending or even justifying the act of a Home Affairs officials, instead of attending to clients who are in front of them, busy on his or her cell phone while people are waiting to be serviced? Can that be justified irrespective of what is going on behind the scenes, which we shall get into?
If you read our statement yesterday, we did say we're condemning that. We're not saying.
You're qualifying it just as you just did.
No.
You are saying if it impedes service delivery. I am here arguing that that kind of behavior cannot be justified under any circumstances.
We agree.
Irrespective of how aggrieved you might be about what is going on behind the scenes and how that affects your members. Can we agree on that one?
We agree. We agree.
Yeah.
Right? That's what we said.
Let's talk then about what you believe are perhaps the reasons for the less than optimal service that people often complain about.
Yeah, before that, I think it's important to deal with what the Portfolio Committee chairperson said, because if we don't do that, we're going to leave a message, that is wrong out there. I'm saying that as we agreeing that it is wrong, there was a discussion last year between ourselves, the trade unions, and the department about the issue of the use of cell phones. And there was an agreement that this use of cell phone will not be allowed. The department is going to roll out a system where they will put lockers in all offices of Home Affairs where cell phones will be taken and be put there so that they don't get lost and so on. After work, workers can get, or during breaks, workers can get their phone. As we speak, this is what is happening. This is an isolated incident. For the portfolio committee chairperson to then pick up the isolated incident and to make it an issue of long queues, that it is because of the use of cell phones in front line offices of the department, hence we have in the long queues. It is wrong. That's why I'm saying he does not understand what is happening. If he had asked the department, what are you doing to manage this issue? If he had asked all of us, would have explained that there is an agreement in place. Generally, employees in the Department of Home Affairs are complying with that agreement. There's never been a resistance after the department has placed the issue in the bargaining chamber and there was a discussion. So that's reckless because it is pitting workers against the community, and we don't think that for a leader he must come out and issue statements like that without appreciating the fact that there are stakeholders there, there's been a discussion, there are already measures in place here. Yes, ill discipline cannot be allowed. People must be sensitive to the fact that that is a security environment, but also we are there to save the public. So we're not going to support the wrongdoings, but we don't appreciate what the portfolio committee chair would
But you know as well as I do that in spite of agreements, and if anything, if Home Affairs officials had reached an agreement which now they are not seeing through, it again points a finger at an administration that is not doing its job, which is a point that you are making. But you cannot say that because there is an agreement, people cannot go to the people who are supposed to play an oversight role, in this case Parliament, to actually complain about incidents that continue to happen in spite of you having had a discussion with the people who were supposed to run Home Affairs and reached an agreement at the bargaining chamber. The fact that those things continue to happen is what has incensed people and moved them to actually go and complain to Parliament. And there's nothing wrong with a portfolio committee chairperson saying, we have listened to what the people are asking us to do, and we believe that this is how we should deal this matter. If anything, it should actually propel you to actually go to Parliament and say, we too, because we believe that this issue has to be dealt with and dealt with now, because it casts aspersions on many hard-working officials of Home Affairs, but not take the kind of attitude that you're taking now.
No, he said it himself, that is management failure, right? The agreement says supervisors and managers of office will be responsible to ensure that the agreement is implemented. We're not managing Home Affairs.
But there may still be those who break the law or who do the opposite.
Yes, but that's a management function to deal with.
Cannot be the management function only. It should also be the responsibility of those who are in the front line, who have to give us the service. He specifically mentions the front desk. They too have a responsibility. I agree with you. Management should manage,
yes,
but employees should also do the right thing. You cannot come and defend.
No, we agree. In any workplace, in any work environment, there are rules, there are policies. All employees,
that must be obeyed.
They know that if I break the rule, there are consequences, right? But it is management function to deal with those issues. And we're not saying that it is wrong for public to report to the portfolio committee, but for him to generalize, to make this thing, a general problem of the cell phone use, it is incorrect. Let's deal with the real issues. Why are we having long queues in Home Affairs, right? It is because of the high vacancy rate. It is because of budgetary issues. It is because of a moratorium introduced by Treasury and austerity measures, forgetting that this is a public service, this is a labor-intensive department. You require human resource to make sure that the service, is rendered to the community. Home Affairs, some years back, when they were busy with the restructuring and the modernization program, there was agreement when they review that we need plus 18,000 employees in Home Affairs, right? At some point, they had about 12,000. Today, Home Affairs has less than 10,000 employees, about 9,100, right? And every year, when people resign, when people retire, those posts are abolished from the organogram of Home Affairs. So there's no employment. These workers who are working in Home Affairs, they're working very hard for them to be discouraged and to be condemned by leadership instead of supporting the efforts that they make. That is why in 2015, there was a huge fight between ourselves and the Department of Home Affairs when, out of their frustration, decided to introduce Saturday work, and is refusing to pay workers overtime for the Saturday work, and wanted workers to also work beyond 4 o'clock. And when we said, why are you not employing this issue? We don't have money because the treasury has cut our budget and all of those things, and that thing happens every year. And we can't afford to pay overtime. The only thing we can do for these employees is to give them a day off on a Tuesday that they've worked, following the Saturday that they've worked.
Which is what I get.
Well, those are conditions of service you have agreed to with your employer here, but that's not what we have here in the public service. But I'm just demonstrating a point that this is a problem that requires Parliament to support the department to ensure that we put resources. If we're talking about a capable state, a state that can deliver services, you need to put resources to that state, because the state is not business. You know, it is rendering service to the community, whether it's health, whether it's education, whether it's home affairs. You need a human resource as your valuable asset. Home affairs services, 57 million citizens plus foreign nationals that are here with that staff complement. It's unfair, but they're doing their best.
Quickly, what is the status of the agreements that you have or that were reached at the bargaining chamber with the government as we speak?
You mean the Home Affairs?
Yes.
No, I'm saying there is compliance with that. There will obviously be people who will take advantage, who will do wrong things and so on. We're not supporting that and so on, but we support the fact that people must comply with the agreement. People must render the service during breaks. They can do whatever they want to do with their cell phones and so on. I do that in my work. I mean, everybody does that. I suppose you do that yourself. But generally, Home Affairs employees, they still deliver the service, they still issue passport, they still issue IDs, they still issue. Just the statistics now from the festive season, it shows you how dedicated the employees of Home Affairs are, who are our members.
Thanks very much for coming through. That's where we're going to leave it, unfortunately, because of time. Nehawu, Deputy General Secretary, December Mavuso.